Hey there, how are you doing? And this is Khaazra, and I am here in Vegas. I'm out here for a meeting, a really important meeting as a matter of fact. But I still have a routine, and so as part of that routine is giving you information that has helped us build our business from the ground up. No loans, no venture capital, no assistance from any gurus, no mastermind groups, nothing like that. We've actually sold face-to-face, door-to-door over $1 billion, and we did it in a relatively quick period of time. Now, we definitely are expanding online, of course. Who wouldn't want to in today's period? But we don't rely on Facebook. We don't rely on Instagram. We don't rely on all the other social media platforms to do what we need to do. Not saying that they're not useful, but we have not relied on them so far. We've gotten to this point so far. We're going to expand from there. So every week I'm going to bring you something that's going to be key and important that actually helped us to get to where we are. A lot of it we didn't have initially when starting out. You know, we couldn't afford the $10,000 to $25,000 mastermind programs that they have out here today. We couldn't afford the coaches out here. You know, we couldn't afford $18,000 to sit down with somebody for 3 or 4 or 5 hours at the time. It just wasn't in our budget, and we needed someone who actually understood our industry, which we still have an issue sometimes finding, is someone who understands our particular industry, so therefore the information that they have may not be applicable in our situation, which is business to business. So what I've done here is taking all of the good and the bad and try to do away with the bad, but sharing the bad with you, but to actually help and share what has actually worked so that you can apply that no matter what business you're in. I don't care if it's online, if it's offline, it doesn't matter if you're just, you know, doing door-to-door sales or if you're just selling from your computer. The information should help you. So what I'm going to talk about today is starting out with a daily routine. It is so important to start off with a routine. I know some people say that they don't believe in time management, and you know, they just get so much done anyway because they work so hard, and that's true. You definitely have to work hard, right? But no one person can do everything. So in most cases, sometimes people who don't have a time management program, or they don't have a schedule, is because everything is being outsourced, which is extremely smart. So it allows them to just put the head down and work. But if you're like a small mom and pop business or a medium-sized business, there's no way that you can just, you know, walk in your business and just say, you know, or wake up and say, you know what, I'm just going to start working without some kind of routine or schedule. Otherwise, you will find yourself stressed out. You will find yourself basically working a job. You just work for yourself. And if you're going to be in drudgery, you might as well just work for another company where everything is systematized and scheduled so that you can have a life, as opposed to, you know, waking up and working, or going to the office and getting there at 8 and then working into 8 and 10 o'clock at night. That's not a life. That is not a life, a good one at least to live. So what are some of the things you can do to kind of like help you with your time? And as you can see here, let me just step back for a second. I'm in a hotel here on my way to a meeting, but I did not want to forget this because it's part of my routine to give you this information. So I'm in a hotel, we're here in Vegas, nothing super fancy as you can see here. I got in today at about, I don't know what, 9 o'clock, and I'm leaving tomorrow, hopefully at 9 o'clock. So I'm just here for a quick meeting or two. So you start off with the daily routine. Like I said, it could be a small business, especially because there's a book that was written called, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. Well, basically, the E-Myth, right? And so in the E-Myth, he talks about the different quadrants. You have the entrepreneur, you have the manager, you have the technician. And you sometimes have to wear all 3 hats, but it can be very, very difficult to wear all 3 hats. I've been there myself. You really can't scale your business like that. It's super hard to grow like that. And it's really it's not the good life, you know. If you want the good life, who mentions that? I've heard that term before. I think I heard Ty Lopez say it too. Call it the good life, and he's actually right about that. If you want the good life, you cannot do everything. You cannot be everything to everybody. It's virtually impossible. There's really no such thing as multitasking. So that's why it's important to have a routine so that you know what you're responsible for, you know what's absolutely key that needs to be done. There's another good book called The One Thing, written by Keller Williams, the largest real estate, one or two largest real estate firms in North America, and I think the book was co-written by Jay Papasan. And they talk about focusing on the one thing and actually creating a time management schedule, which I think is super key, because you know, you want to have a moment where you're working, a moment where maybe you're not, maybe you're eating lunch or something like that, maybe you have family, maybe you have children. So everyone has to have some kind of schedule, even if it's just waking up, taking your family out to breakfast in the morning. That's schedule. That's a time management schedule, and then the rest of the day should be organized accordingly. So create some kind of schedule, especially if you're a small to medium-sized business. Large businesses normally already have things in place where they have, you know, an accountant, they have a secretary, they have an administrator, they have a salesperson who oversees all the other salespeople, they have a payroll person. They already have all these things systematized. So if you hear somebody saying that, you know, they don't need a schedule, it's because it's already a system set up where they don't have to have that, right? Because there's no way you could be the video guy, you could be the editor, and you could be all these different things at the same time and still pay your bills. Now, if you're living at home with your mom or up under your girlfriend or something like that, and you don't have any bills, it's possible that you can do that, right? But in today's age, especially if you have family or something like that, it's going to be super difficult. So you really want to be organized about this. So also, what you want to do is you want to take 5 to 10 minutes out at the night before. Just take 5 to 10 minutes out and just jot down, think about what needs to be done, what in your schedule needs to be done. Write those things out, right? And then what you do is you take what you consider the hardest thing to do and you put it in order, okay? For me, I don't like a whole lot of like paperwork and things like that. So that's something that would happen in the morning for me. Or maybe you have a big job to do. You have to go out and do an installation or something like that. Or maybe you have to do a webinar or a conference or something like that. These things, or write out what needs to be said during the webinar or conference. These things need to be done in the morning when you're hopefully at your peak, when you have more energy and your mind is clear, and you know, people haven't started calling you yet and sending you emails and things like that. So make the most important things, put those things in the morning, and try to allow a time to that as well. You know, you don't want to just be available all day, every day to anyone. Someone calls you up, you pick up the phone, and now you're going to help out John. Then someone else calls you 30 minutes, an hour later, and now you're going to help out Mary. Then someone else calls you and you're going to do this. And then someone else in your office calls you and you're doing that. What about the things that actually need to be done? You would never get anything done if we just pulled in all different kinds of direction. And again, that is why certain people don't have a time management schedule, is because they already have people in place to do all these things for them. But if you're a small player right now, and I say small, not meaning mentally small, but if you're small in terms of your business and your volume and your income, you definitely want to have these things systematized, right? Even if you're in a company like ours, which we do over $65 million a month in sales, this is super important for us, and we have tons of employees, but it's still key because I could be distracted at any given time. It happens all the time. Someone comes in and say, hey, I have someone on the phone, can you resolve this issue? Someone else comes in and say, hey, what about this? And then someone else says, hey, I have a problem, I'm sick, I need to be out next week, or there's an issue here, or there's someone on the bank, from the bank is on the phone. I could be pulled in so many different directions that it's really unbelievable. And I've done it plenty of times where I've gone into the office at 5 a.m. in the morning and I'm leaving at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and I'm saying, what did I do today? And I know I did a bunch of little things, but quantifiably, what did I do to help bring in income or to help, you know, structure things? Most of the times there's nothing. It's just like a chicken running like with no head. So make sure you do that. And then in the morning when you wake up, or when you go to work, or when you start your day, whether you work for yourself in your house, doesn't matter, look at your schedule, right? You know, even, you know, have your tea or your coffee, your breakfast, whatever, but have a start time, because remember, you're not working just to work, you're working to live. You want to have a good life. So have a start time, right? And follow that schedule as much as you possibly can. You may want to include some maintenance time in there, some downtime in there, some time for answering emails and things like that. but make sure that you have a particular time period where you are allowed to focus on the task at hand so that you can get done what needs to be done, especially critical issues. You know, you may need to order advertisement or something like that, or schedule advertisement, or create content for your online company, or you may need to order products for your, you know, your brick and mortar business. You know, these things have to be done, and if you pull all different kinds of directions, because everyone is going to say their issue is absolutely the most important issue, and that's because it just came to their mind, and just because they're operating at whim or without a schedule, it doesn't mean you have to as well, okay? And I think they'll respect you and you'll get a lot more done this way as well. So I have some notes here that I'm looking at. The next thing you want to do, also, if you don't have time to do this every evening, you can actually set your schedule up over the weekend. And you can, you know, my wife does it sometimes, you know, she has set up her schedule, and she loves underwriting, and she'll say, all right, I'm going to study this day, I'm going to work out this time. She meal plans, and she does all these different things, and it works like a charm, right? So you can do this on the weekend. If you don't have time to do it at night, do it on the weekend. You may want to read it at night just before you go to sleep, right? As when you read your goals or the reason why you're pursuing these goals. And then again in the morning when you stick to it, okay? And so, I mean, it could be, so I've heard a couple different things. There's a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and he says create 5 to 6 major tasks that have to be done, or just 5 to 6 major things that have to be done, and you may have 2 or 3 that are top priority from there. Create 5 to 6. Keller Williams says the same thing as well. Create 5 to 6 different tasks that have to be done. Because it's going to be super hard to get 10 major things done throughout the day unless you're working all day long, or unless you have a team of people around you. If you have a team of people around you, maybe you could do 15, 20 different things, because you know you have the inside sales team being handled by that person. You have the outside sales team being handled by that person, right? That's 2 major things right there. Then you have the underwriting team being handled by another person. You have the risk team being handled. This is our business here. We have the risk team being handled by another person. Then you have the tech. Then you have customer service, right? Then you have the back office who deals with the banks. You have the other department that deals with the actual platforms that we consider those payment processing. So there's ways to get a ton of different things done if it's being outsourced or being handled by someone else. But for the most part, I would focus on the 5 to 6 things that I would be personally responsible for, even if it's reviewing what the underwriters are doing, which could be maybe just once or twice a week. I'm pretty sure you're not reviewing every single day, or reviewing what the sales numbers are and things like that, okay? So remember, 5 to 6 major tasks. These come from people who have relatively great success in the industry as well. And then again, that's it. Just outsource the other tasks. So I wrote about 5 or 6 different things, and I'm trying to stick to this myself. And then afterwards, you have time for your family, you have time for yourself, you know, and everything should probably be done within a 6 to 8 hour period. 6 to 8 hour period. And I wouldn't sign any more than maybe 2 or 3 hours to the major tasks. I think sometimes it could be quite difficult to focus when you go, you know, into 3 and 4 hour range. So keep that in mind. You know, you want to take breaks. You want to give yourself fuel, which comes in the form of liquids and foods and things like that. You want to give yourself a mental break. You just don't want to be a workaholic. I find that people who are workaholics sometimes comes off a little bit rough around the edges when they're dealing with their clientele. Just stress sometimes, you know. So, you know, give yourself a break. But these are some of the things that have helped us grow to where we are. We're looking forward to actually hitting $1 billion in sales per year. Right now, we definitely have hit way over $1 billion in sales, but we want to do this within a year's time. So this is going to be our year. We have to be more focused. We have to streamline our processes and create systems. And also, if we're going to be doing a lot of things, we have to make sure these things are outsourced as well. So if you got a chance, read those books. The One Thing, also The Ultimate Sales Machine. That's a great book. And then The E-Myth is another good book by Michael Gerber. Go to our website, www.khaazra.com. I know I got a nice weird name there, so it's www.khaazra.com. You can send me an email. You can check up on our timeline to see where we're going, what we're doing. We have tons of sales consultants who are getting some really great results, and it's a result of us assisting. So I feel really good about that. I really love acknowledging others that actually have success as well. So I'll be sharing more stories with you on that in the very, very near future in the form of video as well. You can also you can catch me on Instagram, you can catch me on YouTube, on Twitter. It's all up under Khaazra Marwanu. That's KhaazraMaaranu. I know I got a long one. And you can also find the podcast 1 Billion in Sales. I could be saying that wrong since I haven't seen it in a while myself. Been out of the country a little bit. Let me just give you the exact name of the podcast here. So the name of the podcast is, The Journey to a Billion in Sales, right? Why wouldn't I know that? All right, look forward to talking to you again. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.